All right, folks. November is finished, and here are our results for the Pro Series of the November weekend game. Radu Nistor came on like fire at the end, winning the last tournament and pushing ahead of Joe Grew for the final victory in the November series. We see Radu number 1, Joe Grew number 2, John Hurd number 3, and Brad Moss coming in 4th. But Brad did have the highest score of the month individually. He had 80.68% in the penultimate tournament. So the 3 players at the top and the highest score for the individual all get paid at the end of the month. So congratulations to these pros. And let's take a look. This is the final leaderboard here for the last tournament. Radu needed the victory to win. Joe was ahead before this last one, and Radu gets it done. Best Joe, but I have to say, Joe, great tournament this month. He was probably the most consistent at or near the top of the leaderboard in every one of these sessions, which not too surprising. His partner, Brad Moss, went for it this month. He definitely had some very high scores, cashing in for the highest score of the month. But sometimes when you're shooting for those high scores, you're going to do weird stuff. As you'll see, I did attempt to do some weird things that did not work well for me this week. And just to try to get up to that portion of the leaderboard where you're going to get paid. So these things can go really well for you. And as you'll see in some of my decisions, they can go poorly for you as well. So you're always taking some risk when you're stepping outside the box. Most of the top pros do it well because they play so amazingly well that they can play themselves out of maybe a bad choice bidding wise here or there, but it's certainly not for the faint of heart. And you'll see very frequently, you'll see pros even below 50%. Usually when you see that, don't think they're playing, they're hopeless pros. They're just really trying to gain where they think they may have lost. And I'll kind of show you how that works psychologically, at least during a session as we go through these results. So guys, thank you so much for playing this month. And don't forget, this is free to play, folks. The results video is going to carry a small charge going forward, but I hope you'll agree with me that it's so worth it, not only to see these hands, but to learn from your mistakes when you get to play these 8 hands and get to see also what some of the best players are doing with these same exact decisions that you have. So let's jump in to the boards that we played this past week in the last of our November series. Board number 1 comes up. So I want to talk about the way I can't say a normal mind works, but I want to talk about how my mind would work, and I hope it's helpful for you to just talk about how you handle bad results, basically, because I had to do that several times. And as you'll see, I started out relatively well today, and we're going to look at these hands in more detail in a second. I just kind of want to talk about the emotional swings that you're going to go through. And not just an 8-board robot tournament, but a 24-board normal game. It's helpful to kind of feel and react and to these emotions in a productive way, at least. And all these tournaments are really good practice for real world situations, because you're going to have the same feelings when you make a mistake. Like on board 4, I know I misplay this hand, right? So as I am moving on from this, I am trying not to let it affect my other decisions as I go forward. And if you see this happen, practice how you handle it. Like, take a deep breath, try to stay in the moment, try to keep playing, because in a real situation, when you're playing real bridge, you can't take a 10-minute break when you get upset, right? You have to keep going. So take a deep breath and move on to the next one. So after board 4, I decide to do something that I don't love to do in these tournaments, but I know this result is so poor, right? I know I've played this at least one trick worse than the field, and the results prove it out. I decide to get super weird on the next one. And this was emotion getting the best of me. I decide to open 2-no trump with this hand that just doesn't have any business doing this, right? I have not only, I don't think I only have 17 on this. I just decide, because I went from knowing I made a bad mistake, and emotionally I was still affected by this. And I'm being honest with you. I know this is what I would call a tilt mistake, or an emotional mistake. Basically, this was a bad spot for me, and I paid for it, right? I just absolutely very quickly decided to do this for no reason other than I was upset. And if I had just taken one deep breath, I would not have made this absolutely silly choice and played 2-no trump when everyone else is just probably playing spades and doing well. Luckily, I wasn't crucified for this. I actually get 42% of the match points, which for a totally ridiculous choice like this is a gift, right? So here's where my mind started to kind of realize how dumb I was being. Because the next two boards, I am relatively normal. I might do some weird stuff because I know I'm behind. And the last board, this wasn't necessarily emotion. This was more, hey, I know I have really two stinkers on the card, right? I have two terrible results. So let me try to do something weird, like, I don't know, opening my worst minor suit, opening my 2-card minor, which I have to say is pretty good. At least it's worth a positive result. I can't say more often than not because lately I've been crushed by this, but in the past, at least, it's been a reasonable way to engineer a good result versus the robots sometimes. But again, like discussed before, this is not for the faint of heart, and it can end badly. As you can see right here, I open a diamond. My partner has a diamond raise that they make and bid 3 diamonds, and here you can see I'm in a terrible spot. I would much prefer to just be playing a no trump, which if I open a club, I'm probably going to get to play a no trump, right, at some point on this hand. So bad choice by me, but recognize that in any sort of situation when you're playing a bunch of hands, you're going to make mistakes. It doesn't matter, right? You can take every lesson you want. You can play with the best players, and we'll all tell you, you're going to make mistakes, right? It's how you deal with them and how you let them affect the rest of your game. That is the difference between really good, consistent play and, the kind of results you see on the screen here, subpar from my perspective, right? So here, calculated risk is okay. And as you can see, it's not going to always go well. This last board is a calculated risk on my part that I know could go badly, but I calculated it was worth it because I'm trying to get in the top 10 or higher, and I know I have 2 terrible results. So I need a really excellent result at the end to try to kind of piece back together a good result, and I didn't quite get there. So hope that was helpful for you guys just from a general perspective as to how you're going to think your way through a tournament like this. But let's jump in and just take a look at some of these individual results at my table and the tables that made better choices on some of these boards. Board 1 was just about being disciplined, right? You get a choice after you make your first bid. Your right-hand opponent starts with a club. You should just overcall a heart. This is a bad suit. However, when we're overcalling, folks, it is certainly okay to overcall when you have a bad suit and a good hand. So this is a very good hand. In fact, we know in these situations, these tournaments, we have the best hand at the table. So I would say with bad suits, you're usually going to be making overcalls, except sometimes at the 2 level or after they open preemptively. We would need better hands than technically what might just qualify as a best hand. But at this point, at the 1 level, clear that we should be bidding, right? No reason to do anything other than 1 heart. And then it goes 2 clubs on our left, pass back to us. Well, we might think, well, we should be bidding. It's our hand. We have the best hand at the table. Well, think of what happened, right? Did partner raise you? No. So you're unlikely to have a heart fit. And that's also because we should know partner has some values on this hand, likely, right? At least something because of the values we're looking at in this best hand scenario. So what are our choices? Well, we could double, right? But what if partner chooses spades? Now where are we? We're at the 2 level and maybe a 4-2 spade fit. That doesn't seem like it's going to be a good spot. And here's what you should be thinking about, guys. In these spots, think about what could happen if you choose to act and make your actions in your head. The only one that I would maybe lean towards, and it's not really looking sexy, is 2 hearts, right? Do we really want to be rebidding queen empty 5th of hearts? I don't think so, right? So here, pass, right? Defend. Don't worry. You don't have to play all these hands. This is not a declare tournament. This is a best hand tournament. And here you'll notice just by passing and even letting them make 2 clubs, I'm getting 72.3% on this board, right? So you just have to be disciplined enough to let this go. And then the opening lead on this one was not the best choice of leads, right? You look at this, you don't want to lead from this hand ever, the best hand. I just chose to lead a low heart. It seemed like it was going to be the least likely to blow up a trick. It looks like a diamond would have been just fine as well, considering that position is kind of solid for declare anyway. All right, so here it's not really going to make a huge difference what we lead as it turns out, but the heart looked like it was least likely to be a disaster for us. And it turns out to be a pretty reasonable lead, right? Diamonds would have been the same. We could lead the king of diamonds here. It solves a position that the declarer can solve themselves if they choose to. Here it just might give them it gives them the ability to really solve it without worrying about giving up a trick, right? The heart gives us a little bit of a tempo here, right? We get to create our heart trick or tricks before they get to the business of creating their own pitches for that suit. So on this lead, two clubs will just make 9 tricks through normal play, as you can see through the analysis here. Let's take a look at what happened at the other tables on this board. So here you see a good range of results, and you see maybe why Joe had such a good score. This board, it's rare you see 100% with this many players, and here's how Joe did it. Joe couldn't resist when it came back to him. It went a heart originally, just like at every other table. That's the cool thing about this event. You're going to see the same results or the same bids that the other players will for the most part. And here, after it goes 2 clubs pass, he chose kind of another hey, I'd want to bid, but I really don't want to make a bid that's going to be bad for us. So 2 diamonds ends up being it, and it goes double, and he has the discipline to just say, let's dance, right? So he just passes this out and actually makes 2 diamonds doubled. So here, let me you guys might not be able to see the entire score. Let me scroll up there for you. You can't see it. Hang on a second. Let me fix that. Here's a better look at it, and there it is. 100% for Joe. 2 diamonds doubled, making 2 for 180. Well done, Mr. Grew. He bought a nice fit from partner, right? 10-9 fifth, and he knows that after that double, partner could choose to correct, and they didn't, right? So he's just saying, okay, partner's kind of taking a preference over there between hearts and diamonds at least, so I'm going to let it ride, and well done. You can see the other people that took action. If you bid 2 diamonds and you double and you get scared and it goes 2 hearts, now you're going to get to the same spot, just 1 level higher, right? They're going to double hearts. Your partner's going to scramble off to 3 diamonds at some point, and you're going to play it there undoubled. And interestingly enough, so here Radu did the same. Radu didn't pass 2 diamonds, but still ended up getting 98.3%. So the people that acted, which are few and far between, it does happen to be the 2 people that won, and that's probably why their scores were so high. They chose to act on this board and were rewarded quite handsomely for it. However, there were quite a few people that might not have been rewarded as handsomely, and they're at the bottom of this list here. All right, so these are the players that decided to act, and you can see the people that get to spades. Those are the people I would guess doubled, right? They start, yeah. So when we double at the beginning, we're going to actually get to a spot where, hey, we're going to get a little bit in trouble because partner's going to think we have spades and they're going to bid aggressively. So good job, Joe, getting to 2 diamonds doubled for your ultimate 100% score. But take a look, guys. If you're just normal and you make a normal pass of 2 clubs, you're going to get 72.3%, which is where we want to be. We love to get huge scores like that. And you'll see, like board 7, I swung for the fences, get 93.3%. That's great. But we don't play for those, right? If you're playing for those, you're playing for that, that ultimate victory or lots of losses to go along with it. If you just play down the middle, get your reasonable results, you'll stay with the field and you'll get those better results, and they'll mean more because you'll be at a very good solid base with your average-ish or above average results as you go. So no need to swing too hard, and you'll notice when I swing hard I usually miss, and we'll see that on board 5 for sure. All right, let's take a look at the next board, number 2. Number 2, we see a very normal result. This was one of the more normal results of the afternoon or the evening, whenever you played this, of the weekend. 1 diamond on our right, and our choices are pretty restricted, right? We don't want to double. That's the one thing I saw in the results that led to really bad results, and you can see why. You don't have the right shape, right? Double is going to be very few of the opponent's suit. We happen to have 5 of them, and cards in the other 3 suits. We just don't have that hand, right? The only thing that should make sense, and the best thing, is 1 no trump. So some of you saw this and said, well, it's too strong for that. It's not. I mean, it tends toward maybe a stronger position because it does have a 5-card diamond suit in it. But think of this, guys. The overcall of 1 no trump is 1 point wider in its range. It is not 15 to 17, it's 15 to 18. So we're technically showing this hand here, right? We're showing a hand that is 15 to 18 balanced, and we're balanced enough. This is a semi-balanced hand. We're happy to get in here. And we get a ton of information from our partner. They bid Stayman. We happily show them our spade suit. And they proceed to 4 spades, which we're delighted with, right? We especially, at least before the dummy comes down, I hate seeing positions like this, right? I would much prefer to play in a suit when I see that. And here, get the best information. And now, when the dummy comes down, right, and we see this opening lead, this is what I'm doing. A couple of things. I'm planning my play, but I'm going to count the values always. Remember, you'll hear me say this hundreds of times if you watch these videos, but here it is again. When the opponents do something, especially something very descriptive, 2 suited bids, opening bids, doubles of our opening bids that show values, especially, we count all the points, right? Especially when we have so much information. Dummy has 10. We have 18. That's 28. What's right hand opponent have? Well, they have the rest. Everything we are looking for is in their hand. So at this point, we know we're losing a heart. It's in their hand. We should know that we're going to lose a diamond. It's in their hand. And we're just trying to avoid as many losers as we can. We know 2 for sure, maybe 3 if they're roughing this trick. So once they switch to a club, we're in business. And at this point, I started to get really excited, but then I kind of tempered my enthusiasm here, because you'll notice you might think when they switch to a club, holy cow, now I can draw trump and I can run those clubs and pitch away my hearts and I won't lose any extra tricks. But look at what's doing here. You have to draw trump, and you're going to have to draw 3 rounds of trump. How many hearts are you going to get to rough in this south player's hand? Only 1. So we're not going to be able to run our clubs without drawing trump, and that's going to only leave us with 1 trump. So here, we should recognize the best we can do is just 1 over trick here. We're going to lose a heart at some point. So this is a pretty simple one, right? We just go ahead and we draw trump. We're hoping this is going to divide evenly, and it does. And once that happens, we just give up a trick at some point in this heart suit. Right, we're gonna be able to pitch some cards for sure, but not enough to actually take more than 11 tricks, which is what we'll do. But that's good enough for 65% on this board. Very normal. Anyone that did better, which I'm sure there were other tables that had slightly better results, these people just get gifted a trick apparently. And 3 no trump. Yeah, weird auctions there, but again, those are people trying to actually scrabble together some results that are going to be beneficial to them, and they might think they were behind, like we will see in a few boards on at our table. But here, they're rewarded. Didn't have to be, but again, 65% for 11 tricks where we didn't have to do anything weird. It's a pretty darn good score. Now let's take a look at the next one. This is a fun hand. It was crazy. This is the auction, right? It goes a diamond by us. Totally normal, right? I didn't do anything weird with this hand. I have a flat 14. Now it goes 1 heart, double by partner, showing exactly 4 spades. Remember, this is that special circumstance where this double is a spot where they have 2 choices. They can double to show spades, or they could bid 1 spade directly, right? They both show exactly the same value, 6+ points. So we use this kind of doubling of the bids to have some specificity as to what's what. So the double here is exactly 4 cards in the spade suit, 6+ points. You can see partner has a whole bunch of points. And the actual bid of 1 spade would be the same value, 6+ points, but 5 or more spades. And now take a look at what happens. It goes pass. I bid a no trump, right? I don't have a spade fit, and I certainly have a spot where I can't raise I can't be raising spades here with only 3, and I have a heart stopper, right? So I'm just going to be sitting pretty in 1 no trump. And then it goes 2 clubs on my left, pass, 2 hearts. So what do we do? Well, I've opened the bidding, folks. I've made my opening bid. I kind of wish I double here, considering what the result is about to be. but here, I have nothing else to say. My partner should know exactly what I'm holding. So I choose to pass, and they float this thing. They pass it. Okay. And this is where I'm a little shocked, but I don't expect partner to have this good of a hand when they pass it. But take a look, guys. Would you do anything differently? I wouldn't. Let's see what other people may have done differently on this board and to what effect that had. Well, here's the winning score, and congratulations. This person chose to double, and they get to play the same contract we did down 4, but they get to play it doubled. So congrats on that. Those people that took action, I would guess, with this South player set. In fact, yeah, well, we'll see. Some people decided to open a no trump with their 14 flat, and I have to say, congratulations, guys. You did well. You got rewarded, and you ran better than I did luck-wise in this tournament. But other people that took action here, you may in fact have gotten yourselves too high. You were rewarded, folks. You were rewarded, and you'll notice you're not seeing too many top pros taking action, by the way. Let that be a hint for you guys. Radu did take action. Okay. Radu opened a no trump. Good job, buddy. But here, these players are getting bailed out by partner having a very good hand, right? If partner doesn't have a really good hand like they're looking at over there, these actions are going to produce maybe subpar results. And notice, guys, again, common theme here, and I wish I learned this during the session. I just happened not to learn it. Common theme, when you do normal stuff and you play relatively well, you're going to do well. So number 3, I did normal stuff and I played relatively well. I just defended normally for down 4, and it's 68.3%. Right? So even though I certainly could do better by doing something weird, I could also do much worse by doing something weird. I just happened to choose the wrong spots to do weird things, apparently. And that'll happen in these tournaments for sure. So here, 2 hearts by the West, down 4. Again, not much doing on this hand. My partner just led spades originally, which is fine for us. I discouraged because I wanted to get off to maybe setting up tricks elsewhere before we took all our spades, but this essentially just played itself at some point, right? We took all of our tricks, and we ended up just being in the right place at the right time for plus 400. The next board, I would love to show you how poorly I played this hand, but let's just talk about the auction real quick. There were a couple of ways this auction could work, and to be honest, one would have produced maybe different results than the other. Over 1 diamond with this hand, you could choose to bid 1 spade, and a lot of people will choose to do that to pick off their major suit fit right away. You could also game force by bidding 2 clubs. I choose to do that just to describe my shape more appropriately usually. So here, when I bid 2 clubs, if partner now shows a 4-card spade suit, I can raise, and partner will know I have some sort of unbalanced hand with longer clubs. Okay, so I like to do it this way, and I get the benefit of game forcing in these spots. So when I bid 2 clubs, my partner bids 2 no trump, and I simply raise to 3 no trump, right? You can see in this hand double dummy style. You can make a whole bunch of tricks if you just guess clubs correctly, right? The club suit's gonna be able to produce all 5 tricks if you guess it correctly. However, you know, I would say if you don't guess it correctly, like I didn't for sure, you're certainly not going to be able to take as many tricks as some other players did. Also, you'll see different auctions on this one, but recognize that after a hand like this, from my perspective in my head as I was playing this, I was like, okay, this is a hand that is something I certainly could have done better with, right? At the end here when I only make 9 tricks. And as you can see, when I clip open the other tables, most people are making 10 tricks, or most of the best results are making 10, some of them even 11 tricks, right? So here, as I'm trying to gauge my game as I'm going, I realized that other players could have guessed this better and or made extra tricks. So here is where Rob compounds the situation and decides to be just crazy, right? And this is emotion getting the better part of me, which didn't have to, right? Maybe this is why I shouldn't play this at like 1:30 in the morning, but you know, it's my own fault, right? I took a mistake on board 4, and I just brought it right into board 5, and I just stewed in my own mistake stew here, because here I open 2 no trump and it goes all pass, and I go down 3. So I think I could have played this better as well, by the way, but if I just do something normal like the rest of the field here, and look at this, the rest of the field is even maybe defending the opponent's contracts and getting massive results, even just not doubling, going down just 1, maybe defending less than the field, 62.2%. So here, just being normal would be wonderful for me, but here is why we don't let our emotions interfere with our thought processes. And here you'll see, if you just sit back and defend 4 hearts, open a spade, rebid your spades, and let the opponents get into trouble, you get a beautiful result depending on how much you beat 4 hearts. If, however, you get a little bit tilted about a bad result on board 4 and push it over to board 5, you're in trouble. So here I'll let you guys look at the results on this one. But basically, opening and rebidding your spades will let the opponents find a very bad heart contract, which you're happy to defend and beat. All right, here's where I took a deep breath, though, and on board 6, we got back to some level of, a normal result. And let's take a look at this. Totally normal, right? 1 no trump, all pass. The opening lead would be a heart, right? The 10 of hearts, weird choice by the opponent. In fact, you would want to see the 8 here. You want to have 3 in a sequence when you lead top of touching honors versus no trump. Or what I thought, you want to have a top of an interior sequence. If I were seeing this live, I would expect lefty to have queen 10-9, 4th or longer of hearts, which is why I played the jack at trick 1, right? I'm trying to score that trick right away. And you'll notice not happening, right? So here, I chose to duck this. And I chose this for a couple of reasons. I want to switch here, and I'm not worried about hearts at all. I have 2 stoppers in this suit. I'm hoping they either switch to a diamond and give me a free guess of this suit, or my real hope is a club. A spade's not going to bother me. In fact, a spade may sometimes produce extra tricks as well. But I was hoping at this point, lead a club, take your tricks so that I can maybe find my way over there with the king of diamonds and cash some clubs. As you'll see, they disappointed slightly, but not to the degree we thought. They give us some information now. When they switch to the jack of spades, we now know they have the 10, or at least we should expect them to. This is a weird play when they don't have it. So now, little piece of information we may get to take advantage of. Maybe not right away, but at this point, watch what I do. I want to give them rope. I'm leading clubs. I am not worried about hearts. I'm certainly not worried about spades anymore. In fact, now I want righty to lead more spades. Maybe they give us a trick that way. And am I going to lose clubs? Yes. Can I afford to? I'm in 1 no trump, folks. Let's party, right? This is a time where sometimes the robots might even cash tricks and help set up your suit. So at this point, I'm just letting them help me. That's all I want them to do. I play a club. Here comes a heart. All right, and now we can take our trick. Here we go. More hearts. More clubs, excuse me. Let's go, guys. Give me some help. Help me. Help me. Help me. Thank you. All right, there is the piece of information and the second part of it, actually. They led the jack originally, so we should put the 10 in their hand. Now they're leading low. Let's take that finesse, right? Here's the 74.1%, right? This gives you that extra trick right here that other players may not have seen. And now comes the time where, for me, I was just, let's take my tricks and run. So there's the queen of spades. Here I can play the ace of hearts, but I'm worried about losing control of this hand or losing an extra heart. So now I play another diamond. It goes queen, king, ace. I'm close to maybe developing a trick in this suit. Here comes that heart play. I have no choice. And now I'm just kind of hoping I'm creating a trick either on one side or the other. As you can see, I'm not, and I'm destined to just go down 1 in this hand. But down 1 in a match point result, pretty good, right? 74.1%, and we'll see why. Near the top of the best results, right? Other players are in the same contract, and you can notice on a hand like this, when you see the entire deal, let me get back to that there, guys. You know the auction was the same, right? Unless someone's just being terribly weird, everyone's opening a no trump and getting to play it there, right? So it's going to be about how well you do. Some people made it. Joe's dad, Tom, made this 1 no trump. Well done, guys. Joe Greenspan, nice job. 1 no trump making 2. Wow, amazing. And then somehow, some way, this person decided, okay, so they opened a short club and the opponents found 4. Okay, so you can see sometimes a weird bid might get you a great score, other times not so much. But here, again, another time where just being relatively normal was going to get you a good result. And that's what you can expect here. 1 no trump down 1 was pretty darn good. All right, 2 more boards to go. Let's see how we did on these. This last one was my best result of the session. And you'll notice this was a time where I did something weird. I decided to mess around with the robot in a pretty classic way where I have 2 minor suits. I would always open this a club with a real person 100% of the time. Let's be clear. I would never, ever, ever choose to do this in a live event. I'm only doing this because historically at least, doing this is not necessarily great, by the way. It may be really bad, but historically it is plus expected value versus the robots in the long run, because it confuses them, and when we get to play contracts we might get a very good lead that's helpful to us, whereas if we choose not to open this, maybe it gives them a chance to not only develop their best suit but gives them the timing they need to be successful defending against wherever we end up. But here, this was an example of when it goes right, and it's perfectly placed because it's right before an example of where it goes wrong. So at this point, I decide to open a diamond, and it goes a heart on my left, and my partner makes a cubed raise, right? I've hit them, right? They have an amazing fit in diamonds, and they have a good hand, right? They have a hand that wants to play games. So when I bid 2 no trump, showing I can stop hearts, they decide to bail out in 3 diamonds, and I'm realizing I'm having a bad tournament already, and it's imps. So if I'm gonna gain, or sorry, it's match points, but whatever, if I'm gonna gain, I need to really gain here. So at this point, I am in a spot where I just bid a game, right? And I'm rewarded handsomely when that dummy comes down. It's the easiest hand for me to play all day, basically. I have 7 diamonds, and on this opening lead of a spade, I mean, it's just an embarrassment of riches, right? We get to take a trick with the 8 of spades, and now it's like, holy cow, how many tricks can I actually take on this hand, right? So very easy if you get to play 3 no trump, and you'll notice that the best scores here are those 3 no trumpers. Somebody made 6. Who was that? Oh, very nice. Good stuff. All right, but here, again, weird choice of auctions that pays off for me, but again, it didn't really pay off that amazingly well, because notice, even if I open a club, I'm going to play no trump anyway, right? So I'm going to take the same. So did it really reward me handsomely? I don't think so, right? It didn't punish me, right? The problem is I was so confident after that. I get another hand and I say, let's keep with a winning thing. Let's just go. Let's open a diamond again. Let's stick to it. And here's an example of it just going terribly wrong, right? If I do not open a diamond, and let me just show you what other tables do. We don't even need to get to the top results, although these are probably pretty darn good, right? If we just open a club, it looks like we're going to get to play a no trump most of the time, right? And if we open a club and the opponents maybe do something different, we'll defend against something that's bad for them. So moral to the story, and here's what Joe does. Joe opens a club, totally normal, rebids a no trump, and defends 2 hearts. So here, being normal gives you a very easy, good result. Being dumb, or maybe, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Being dumb. Yeah, dumb is a good one. I think I was right the first time, but trying to engineer a good result is going to be sometimes really good. And as we saw in the last one, even though those times that are real successes, they're not really that successful, because the other pathway would have led to the same result most likely. So here, trying to do something weird to get a much better result, I thought was a good risk for me, to be honest. As it turns out, and as it usually does turn out, maybe I should stop trying to do this. Bad things can happen, and when they do, they derail your effort even further than you've already done so yourself on those previous boards. So again, I think we keep coming back to it. Being normal is probably going to be pretty good, especially if you're going to play the hands relatively well. So hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and I hope you join us every week for this weekend game. It is an exceptional opportunity to not only play a free 8-board robot tournament on BridgeBase, but you get to play it and result yourself against the absolute best players that the game has to offer. It doesn't get any better than that, folks, and I hope to see you this weekend. Sign up before Thursday to make sure you get in for the weekend game. If you're signed up through that, you'll be in there, and you never have to sign up again. That game will always be there for you. Instructions are right below in the comments for the weekend game. We'll see you at those tables this weekend, guys. Take care.